He said something about his politics and yours not necessarily jiving, but that didn't make any difference. So,
Well,
um,
um, and you know,
well,
I'll,
Chris is a knowledgeable guy.
yeah, and like 6 months ago or whatever, he went to Washington and just happened to send me a picture of like him and Trump standing there. And it's just like so Chris Murphy that he would be able to like finagle his way into a picture with
It
Donald
is so
Trump.
Chris
It just
Murphy.
is, it's just like that's kind of who that he's got like he's very good at talking, very and he was actually a very good guest to have on because he just starts talking mostly, and opinions and opinionated and starts talking. And I just have to sit there and smile.
Yeah, you can just sit back and watch.
And then what happened, Chris? And then what happened? Okay. But there are a lot of lurid, stories that like I told you, he knows where the bodies are buried, and he was my fixer for sure. He was definitely my fixer. I would have gotten into some serious jail time.
Oh, that first story he told about.
Hadn't been for Chris, probably.
Well, that first story he told was a howler. I thought he got a call from the motto saying, "Chris, there's a car coming to pick you up, and you're going to get on an airplane, go to Tucson, and you got to get Michael out of his trailer."
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not. I didn't remember that story. I remember the fight because Chris is a scrapper, and
Oh yeah.
he won't back down from anybody. And I remember the fight that we got into in the trailer. And
Goodness.
but I don't really remember the circumstances surrounding that issue of me not wanting to leave the trailer. That like that just to me is not. I just never remembered it, and he's obviously I guess he's got a better memory than me. That was just not part of my makeup to say
Yeah,
I'll
it
leave the
didn't sound
trailer,
typical
And
of
if I
you.
was
Yeah.
and if I was angry about something, I was on the set screaming about it, and if I happened to be working on some shitty movie, and if I was drinking. I didn't care that people knew, I'd carry my bottle around with me, and but yeah. Anyway, he could go on and on and on, and we'll have him back on. I think he had a good time, and I think a little bit of attention goes a long ways with Chris, and I guess like most people. So, what else? What else is?
He was fun. He was fun to talk to, that's for sure.
What did you? Well, I guess that's kind of politics too. This Charlie guy that was just.
That there was one thing I forgot to say
Yeah.
earlier when you were like kind of joking about the Emmys and like, oh, do you know who won this?
Yes,
And
yeah.
it just, I guess, kind of goes to the state of award shows these days.
Yeah, well, that's
where
what.
that's what you were alluding to. And
Yes.
I was sitting there at home yesterday, and there was the football game was on at the same time, and it was just the absolute shit football games. Falcons,
Yeah.
Vikings. I had players on both teams in my fan, and it was just a field goal fest. They were just kicking. It was so boring. It was
Yes.
a horrible game.
Yes.
And so I went to my TV and looked at what else I could watch, and the Emmys were there, and I went, maybe this game will get better. I don't know.
Well, it's just kind of the state of the content that is out there, not only in films and television and movies, but just everybody's on their phones. Everybody has got their own entertainment center in their hand, and it's very easy now to watch a football game and watch my TikTok videos at the same time. And I've always found over the last 10 years, I enjoy watching football, but I've never enjoyed football. Well, this goes back to the argument that I got into with Bill Burr, freaked Bill Burr out when I was a Raiders fan. They called the Tuck rule on Tom Brady fumbled on his own 20-yard line with a minute and a half left in the rain, and instead of calling it a fumble, they called it something called the Tuck rule. And I'd been watching football for 10 or 15 years at that point. Never heard of the Tuck rule before. It looked to me like he fumbled it. It wasn't a forward pass. They called it the Tuck rule. Never heard of it before, never heard of it since. And at that point, Tom Brady, gets the ball back. That would have been the end of the game. Tom Brady gets the ball back, and then he proceeds to drive the team in the rain, 75 or 80 yards for a touchdown to win that playoff game, and then go on and win I believe his first Super Bowl.
And I was thinking about this too because you've told that story before. And let's say the Raiders did win that game, or you did continue being a Raiders fan after that Tuck rule happened. It would not have gone well for you over the next couple of years anyway, because they have not been. They've not been a very good football team for the past 20 years.
Here's the thing: is that the reason that I kind of ended up kind of liking the Raiders is because before that, I was a Bears fan. Okay. Now, one of the interesting things that happened to me is that I was a Bears fan. When I was a kid, my dad was in Chicago with me. We were all in Chicago visiting our relatives. And my dad came back with my uncle, and they handed me a picture of a guy named Bill George. And you can Google Bill George. He was an all-pro tackle or something like that. It was an autographed picture. So they ran into Bill George someplace in the Morton Grove area, the Skokie area of Chicago. I think it's North Chicago. And they gave it to me. And from that moment on, and I was probably my son's age. I was probably about 10, my little one's age. And,
Yeah.
I became a Bears fan, and I would, Dick Butkus.
I was going to say that was a pretty good time to be a Bears fan.
Well, as it turns out, the Bears from that moment.
Gale Sayers was.
Gale Sayers was a brilliant player, and they actually made that. What's that movie with Brian Piccolo? What was
Brian
that?
Song.
Right.
James Cain.
James Caan and Billy D. Williams, was it?
Yeah, I think it was.
That's a pretty good television movie. I'd be interested in knowing who directed that, because that was a television.
Buzz
Kulick.
Who? Buzz Kulick? Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, that's a well-known name. In television. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was a pretty good show. So I was a Bears fan for a long time. When I went to high school and played football, I wore Dick Butkus's number, which I don't even remember what it was. What is 64? No, I don't even remember what it was.
51?
What it is anymore. 56, I think 56.
51.
51, yeah. So, okay, I was talking about the Bears. This was going to go someplace. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the Bears were just always terrible. And I was always a Bears fan. And, I'm a kid, really not paying that much attention to it when I'm 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. They didn't have 8 NFL games on, per week back then. There was usually one game on Sunday, and that was it. There was before Monday Night Football and Sunday night, like all of that. And I was a Bears fan.
Yeah, it was basically Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. And so I was a Bears fan, and then the year that I replaced Remar when we were doing Aliens, okay? that year, that football team, the Bears football team, ended up, while I was, maybe I saw the Super Bowl, but nobody liked the Bears except for me. Nobody liked the Bears except for me. And I went off to do Aliens, and when I came back to America, everybody loved the Bears. Everybody, the wives, they did the Super Bowl shuffle. It was John McMahon. It was Refrigerator Perry. It was like all of those. The whole country turned into like Bears fan, and like the Saturday Night Live, the Bears,
the Bears.
you know. Anyway. I don't know what
that is kind of a funny observation, because I remember that how popular they became very quickly.
Well, and the question then is, would I have rather stayed in America and watched the Bears, win all those playoff games in the Super Bowl and enjoyed the Super Bowl shuffle and watch all the hype, or would I rather have gone to London and shoot Aliens? And I'd rather have been doing Aliens.
not much question.
Not much question about
but
that.
It was like Rip Van Winkle.
The thing that's crazy, Jim, about Aliens, and it really is remarkable. And there are a lot of movies. I see movies, a lot of older movies that still hold up. But when you get these science fiction movies, Aliens is going to be. We were shooting Aliens exactly 40 years ago. Today, probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever we are, and I believe that you could take that movie, and if nobody was even aware of Aliens, and you put it in the theaters, you could take that movie, which was shot 40 years ago, and nobody would complain about the visual effects. The visual effects of the aliens and the whole movie is it's incredible that Jim was able to do that 40 years ago. Usually when you see a sci-fi movie that's 40 years, go back and look at some.
It looks pretty clunky. Yeah, it looks pretty clunky. But I just watched. It was on television recently, and I watched the very opening of it because I've always kind of loved the shots of when the scavenger crew, finds the capsule and they open it up.
Yeah,
and
like a laser.
That smoke and the way the light hits that smoke.
Fantastic.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
And so you just know you're in for a joyride at that point. Just the eeriness and the effect of that one shot of that smoke and the light.
Yeah. And I have maintained and of course I did the Terminator, and I've always thought that Aliens is Jim's best movie. Now, I'm obviously biased, and he won the Academy Awards and numerous, like half a dozen, whatever, Academy Awards for Titanic, and Titanic was, the big thing, and I could ask him two personal questions, and I wouldn't, I wouldn't really want to pry into his feelings about things.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know if there was a jealousy that he was just kind of a rebel and did things the way that he wanted to do it, Jim. But when he won the Academy Award, and I've gone back to try to watch the entire speech, and I haven't had time to really find it. But he won the Academy Award for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Picture, I think it was. And he had the Oscar in his hand, and he held the Oscar up, and he said, "I'm king of the world." And, that's a line that Leonardo DiCaprio says in the movie.
Yeah, he's standing in the front of the ship, and holding his hands up, proclaiming it.
And
it's an exalted moment.
And he was vilified for that kind of
bravura.
And I just don't get it. I just don't get it's a line from the movie. He's excited. He just won his first Best Picture. I'm king of the world, I know that affected him. I know that criticism affected
the blowback.
him.
The blowback affected
him.
Yeah. How unfair? How grossly unfair?
I know. I know.
If it hadn't been a line in the movie, that might be one thing, but it's a line in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, come on, give me a break, folks.
Yeah, man, and even if you're, even if it was me and I won an Academy Award, which my chances are getting slimmer and slimmer. I said when I was young, I was always part of the Academy, and I said I'm not going to go to the Academy Awards until I get nominated. So I haven't been to the Academy. Have not had a chance to go to the Academy Awards. And the other story about Jim, and I probably won't ask him, and I don't really want to get into his feelings. And I think I probably mentioned this in the podcast before, but when Arnold's option got picked up, and we were 6 months down. They originally wanted to shoot that, I believe, Toronto. It was Canada. I'm guessing it was probably Toronto. And during that time that we were down, and Jim was, creating the Terminator, and I was around Jim enough to know at that point, oh my God, this guy's really, really special. I think I talked about this one. We kind of did a podcast about the Terminator, but there was while he was waiting, he wrote Rambo 2. Right? I think he's the only Rambo 2 or Rambo 3, but I think it was the second one, and I think that is probably Yeah, it's only him, right? There's no.
Well, it's all on Wiki. It also says Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well.
Of course. I think from then on, Sylvester Stallone is co-written by, and by the way, that guy's career too is just incredible. Really, really incredible. That when I was younger, I didn't have the respect for Stallone that I do now. I mean, he's just a workhorse, and he just writer, director, and he's got the Rocky franchise, which is, how many people have got 3 franchises? He's got the Rocky franchise, and then he's got, what was the one we were just talking about?
Rambo.
And then he's got is it called Expendables?
Yep.
Yeah, so he's got, between those 3 movies, there's 20 of them, And he's always been in a fight. Who's the guy that owns Rocky, Jim? Do you know? He's kind of a well-known.
It wasn't Charlize Winkler you're talking about, are you?
Yeah. What? Yeah. Well, those are 2 names. There was one of them.
Well, I'm just seeing. Producer Irwin Winkler has a stake in the
Irwin
franchise.
Winkler and him have never really. I think that he felt. I say rightly so. It's like, hey, it's my thing. I've done 10 movies now. Just give it to me. Let me give it to my kids. Let me, just give it to me. And Irwin Winkler steadfastly said no. I believe, is it Irwin Winkler? Is he also a guy that was involved with Gilligan's Island?
Oh, I don't believe so. Why?
Well, there was a producer on Gilligan's Island that was a pretty well-known name like that I think was really stingy, really stingy with the people on Gilligan's Island, because that was a very successful show. Bob Denver and they used to always be kind of pissing and moaning about. Remember when Bob Denver got caught for smoking pot, and it was such a big deal because he was Gilligan. He played a certain. That reminds me of the. What's the guy who used to dress up in the little? He used to talk like this, and he got.
Oh, Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's crazy what people go down. What people used to they would end their career, if they got caught, or almost end your career if you got caught smoking pot or in Pee Wee's case, pleasuring himself in a gay bar. But
self-abuse. He was indulging in self-abuse.
Right. So I don't think you're thinking of Irwin Winkler. I think you're thinking of Sherwood Schwartz.
You're thinking of Sherwood Schwartz.
Okay,
he was the guy who people hated. Yeah.
Do you know why they hated him, Jim?
Well, just based on the AI overview, it says he earned an estimated $90 million from syndication rights. The cast members received no royalties from the immensely popular and profitable reruns.
Okay. Well, you would think a guy who made $90 million, there were 6 cast members, would go, you know what? Here's $1 million for each of you. Just thank you very much,
the upfront salary for the cast was $750 a week.
Wow. How many seasons did that run? Gilligan's Island. It seemed like a pretty cheap show to shoot. It was
3
pretty
seasons?
contained. How many?
3.
Just 3?
Yeah. 3
seasons. How many episodes?
About 198, I guess, somewhere in that range.
Wow.
And it used to be that if you got 100 episodes of a show, you could easily, you could put it into syndication, and that's when the money started to roll in.
Well, yeah.
So he got his 100, and Schwartz did, and then just basically held on to all the money. I don't even know if they were getting royalties in those days.
I'm seeing I'm seeing exactly 100 episodes.
Well, I'm wondering if the guy who wrote the music for it
98
ever because that was a pretty catchy little song, beginning of Gilligan's Island. Jim, I think we're only talking to people now that are in their 80s.
I know. If you remember Gilligan's Island,
anybody who's in their 50s, 40s, 50s, they have no idea what we're talking. Might as well be talking about the Ponderosa.
Well, the question with Gilligan's Island always was Marianne or Ginger.
Oh, that was for me, it was always Ginger. There was never any question at all about which one.
You want the hot one, huh?
Yeah. Well, remember the other one that had 3 very attractive girls on it was a show called Petticoat Junction.
I remember that.
I'll bet you do.
Petticoat Junction. Well, they opened with them all in a like a tub, and they grabbed their petticoats one by one. They're in a bathtub, basically. At the beginning, I was watching that. I was a 12-year-old boy watching that for sure. Petticoat Junction.
Woo woo.
Here's Uncle Joe. He's moving kind of slow at the junction.
Yeah.
So the Gilligan's Island theme song, "The Ballad of Gilligan's Island," was written by Sherwood Schwartz.
Wow.
And composer George Weil, but Schwartz had it.
All right.
But you were just talking about, people only talking about people in their 80s, and we were talking about Sylvester Stallone. And last episode, we were talking about Taylor Sheridan. And just another tip of the cap to Sylvester Stallone, who has a Taylor Sheridan show called Tulsa King, and he's fucking badass in it. And it's a bit more of it's a bit sillier than some of the other ones like Mayor of Easttown and Lioness, but it's still a very fun show.
Yes,
and Sylvester Stallone's a fucking boss,
too,
and he
right?
just commands it.
He looks terrific in it.
He's great in it. And I didn't think
like
when
he's
I
having a
first
great
saw it, I
time.
was like, yeah, he's going to be a mob boss, but he does it perfectly. He's so good in it. It's so entertaining.
Yeah, well, I just never gave, I admire him now where, I can remember watching the first Rocky, and it had Brian Dennehy. Is that correct?
No.
No. Is that not Rocky? I mean, Rambo. Wasn't Brian Dennehy?
Yeah, it was
guy?
called First Blood.
First
That
Blood.
was Brian Dennehy. Yeah.
And
It wasn't called Rambo. It was called Rambo. Actually, was the sequel to First Blood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait,
The First Blood came first.
The movie was called First Blood, not Rambo First Blood. It was just
very
called
first movie was called First Blood.
Oh, wow!
And then Rambo was the second.
That's good. That's a good title. But
Yeah.
was his name Rambo? Is that why?
I think his name is Rambo in the movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So that's But I remember watching that. I remember watching the movie, and he's a guy who walks into town. He's kind of minding his own business, and then somebody starts pushing him the wrong way, and they keep pushing him and pushing him and pushing him, and the next thing you know, he's being chased through the woods, and it was a really going back to the Jim Cameron story, which was the second one.
Rambo.
So he wrote that. They went off to shoot that, and I believe they were shooting that at the same time we shot the Terminator. And there was a day on the Terminator where Jim was not right, and I asked him, "What's going on, man? Because Jim's got a certain intensity, passion, and hardworking style that is just always there,
And focused.
Focused, yeah. And he was just didn't seem to quite have it that day. Something was up, and he kind of dismissed it. And later on in the day, I still felt that there was something up, and I asked him about it, and he said, "Well, he had written the second one, I guess, which is the one they call Rambo."
Yeah.
And
that one's called Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Okay, all right. And he had written a scene where somebody's climbing up in the mountains and almost slips or whatever, and they were shooting that. I believe they were shooting that movie the same time we were shooting Terminator, and stunt guy was trying to do what Jim had written and fell and got killed. And Jim seemed to have a heavy heart that day, and I remember, talking to him, and it's like, Jim, like, it's got,
you had nothing to do with it.
You obviously, but
got no responsibility here.
Obviously Jim knew that. Jim knew that,
of
but
course.
it's an example of Jim's compassion, I would say. I think that a lot of people think that he's and he is, man. He just is. Nobody works as hard as he does. Nobody works as hard as he does. And just an incredible. That story that I talk about where he pulls out the avatar and the
Alita.
Oh, Alita.
Alita.
Yeah, Alita Battle Angel scripts. And I'm like, which one are you going to do? And he says, well, I got to wait.
For the technology to catch up.
For the technology to catch up. And then, like, he waited like 10 years. And he must have been doing the same thing with Avatar. Why wouldn't he? I mean, most people, they do a hit movie, and then they want to turn around and do it as quickly as they can afterwards, don't they? Just because the excitement's still not kind of worn off from the first one.
But usually, yeah, usually that's the way the studio would like to do it.
But he said to me, I got to wait for the technology to catch up to do either one of these movies. And he waited 10 years. He didn't do any movies after Titanic.
No,
for 10 years. And he wasn't sitting around. I mean, he was diving.
Oh, God, no. He was diving, and he probably making a documentary.
Documentaries.
Yeah.
And that's the documentary he took. He took Bill
Well,
Paxton.
did he keep diving the Titanic even after he
yeah.
did the movie? Because he's done, what, 30 dives of the Titanic?
Yeah, probably.
Ghosts of the Abyss, I think is what.
Ghosts of the Abyss.
I remember going to that premiere with you.
With me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Ghosts of the is that the one that Bill was in? Did he goes down with Bill Paxton?
Yes.
Bill's always told me how terrified he was. Fucking going down there in that little, so what they used to call them submersibles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, anyway, just in terms of you saying how hard he works and no one works harder, and that, I was like, oh, well, Taylor Sheridan is probably getting up there because the output that guy has is just unreal. The amount of shows that he's doing now. And I was just thinking of other directors that just don't stop. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Guy Ritchie too. I mean, Guy Ritchie in the past 2 years has had a couple hits, a hit Netflix show called The Gentleman based on a movie he did.
Yeah.
And then my favorite show of the year that he's done, I think it's on Paramount, called Mobland with Tom
like
Hardy.
that?
Oh, loved it. It's so good. It
looked
good.
good. It looked good. Yeah.
And Guy Ritchie is doing so many things. I heard
I loved his movie, The Gentleman.
The Gentleman. Yeah, the movie
terrific.
was great.
The McConaughey movie. I thought that was terrific. I can watch that over and over again.
And then they made the TV show sort of kind of loosely based on that for Netflix, which is very fun.
Yeah.
And then he did Mobland. I just can't say enough good things about, which I heard they were still writing while they were filming it. Like Guy Ritchie
he's
just
made a
seems
couple
to be,
of Jake Gyllenhaal movies too. In the last
this
few
most
years.
recent one, The Covenant, is pretty dang solid. And then he made another really fun one last year called The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which I watched recently, that has Henry Cavill in it. And yeah, he's just putting out so many things. Just had to throw a couple directors out there.
Jim, Carrie Elvis was in that one too.
Jim,
Ministry of Ungentlemanly Welfare.
After I did The Magnificent Seven, I had an idea for a show, and I went to John Watson with the idea, and John Watson liked the idea, and he took it to Ron Shelton, and who I know you're close to and would love to have on the podcast. And
happy birthday, Ron! Today is his birthday.
Happy birthday, Ron! And it was my, it was my idea, and they sold it to one of the networks. I think it was ABC, probably the one that we were doing a Magnificent Seven on, but they sold it immediately, and I got like 100,000, and Ron, I don't know what he got paid, but he got paid, I'm sure, very well to write that script. And John got 100,000, and like a week after we pitched it, and I mean 2 days after we pitched it, we had that deal. But if that had gone forward, that would have been created by Ron Sheldon. Okay? That's what would have happened on that show. And Jim knows this very well. There's a big difference between creating something and being the producer on something, especially back then.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
One is a money machine, and the other one is you're just like part of the credit. A credit, right?
You get a paycheck.
I remember I would say 2 years ago, maybe 3. Sometime around when did Laura win her Oscar for Belfast? When was Belfast?
Was that
2022 Oscars.
2022. Okay, so she made it in 21. Somewhere, I think somewhere around 23. I was talking to her, and I was trying to pitch her something or had some idea about something, and she was talking about Taylor Sheridan, and she was talking about how Billy Bob Thornton had this idea, that he, the Landman, it was the oil and it was the whole thing, and that was him and his manager went out and pitched it to Taylor Sheridan, and now it seems to me that every time I see anything, it's created by Taylor Sheridan. He writes every episode. Like, isn't that kind of what goes on with him in all his shows now? It seems to me that the same kind of thing might have happened to Billy Bob on that. So, because I'm the person who can actually take your idea and make it, make it, I become the creator of it. So.
It may be, but the only writer's credit on Landman is Taylor Sheridan. So if he's writing the whole show...
So he's writing that whole show, but doesn't he write the other...
He writes, I think he writes all of them.
Well,
but I don't know, created by taking the script. It seems like he's... I don't know, I'd have to look through every one
I know,
of his
but
shows.
Do you really think that Taylor Sheridan has written on every show, every episode?
I would think that he'd have a little bit of help. Yeah.
Again, it's a writer's room. I mean, you don't do 4 different television series that are 5 or 6. He's an incredibly successful guy, and write them all. It's just absolutely impossible. I mean, even on Magnificent Seven, everybody's got a writer's room. Jim, you know that.
Do you remember a writer named Ron Bass?
I know the name.
Yeah, because his name was on scripts all over the place in the late 80s and 90s into the 2000s. And he had kind of a team of people. He had 3 or 4 people, like somebody experienced in development, and just assistants who would essentially help him write scripts. And it would be his name on the script, but he had like a cadre of people around him. And I think Taylor Sheridan works a little bit that way, but he does generally, crank out those screenplays himself. And
every episode of every show that he's done, that he does, all the things with Stallone, all of the stuff that he did with
Yellowstone,
and the 3 shows that he's got now. He wrote every single episode.
Really. I don't see how he can.
I don't see how anybody can either. And if that's the case, there's just, like I said, from my understanding, was way before that Billy Bob show became Taylor Sheridan show. That was Billy Bob's idea. And,
if the credits on it read created by Taylor Sheridan and Christian Wallace. I don't know if Christian Wallace.
Well, I know, but that's I'm just and are you able to find any show that he's produced that he didn't write?
There's one on here I'm seeing called Lawmen.
No, I mean, all of the shows that he does that we've just mentioned, he writes every episode.
So I've gone through every single one on the Wikipedia page. Just a basic search, Tulsa King, for some reason in the main section doesn't have written by there. It just has created by, and then the showrunners. I could look into that one. But the only other one in which he has someone else on the written by credits is a show called Lioness, which is also apparently a very good popular show.
So he
It's
wrote
always held on
every
which is written by
Yellowstone.
Taylor Sheridan and Thomas Brady. That's the only other one where he shares a written by credit on his Wikipedia page.
Okay, so all of Yellowstone, he wrote every episode.
According to Wikipedia, he's the only writer on it.
And what's the one?
Although this is just a basic search, when you look it up and it has the column to the right, if you go in depth into like how many writers there were on all these shows, I don't know, that could be different. But just the basic written by credit that you get on Wikipedia at the right corner, he's pretty much the only one on all of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Jim, but don't you find that, when I was doing Law and Order, I got the script, and I wanted to do it because it was Law and Order and get to go to New York, and I didn't think the script was really that good, that tight, and later I got offered it on a Thursday, and then I took it, and then on Saturday I got another script, and that script was like much better than the one that I just read, and the character for me was much better, and it was just written better. And then when I flew to New York, when I landed in New York, I had another script that was even better than the other script, and it had been polished. And when I talked to, what's the name of the guy, the star of it? I can't. I was on a flight last night. Yeah, Christopher Maloney, Chris Maloney. So when I was talking to Chris about what I considered his show, it's a huge show. They got 40 Teamsters on that show. It's a huge show. He says, one of the things is that the writers and the writers' room, which when I think of the writers' room on any show, whether it's Saturday Night Live or whether it's the Magnificent Seven, that's got to be like 4 or 6 people. That's not. That's what I think of as the writers' room. Is like
probably bigger on SNL.
Okay, big 8 or 10, people, and what he said is that just like everybody else that is working on that show, they're doing the best they can to kind of stay current, like to be able to do the best script that they do. They keep writing on it until the day before they start shooting on that particular episode. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like somebody has one, they write one, and they go shoot it. No, they're all working on
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the idea that Taylor Sheridan has written all of this is just insane. And, I'm sure I'll never work for him, and I don't, but I'm not,
that's a stunning amount of output when you look at it. His name is written by in all of those series. My word.
Yeah.
David Kelly used to do that with, his
but that was one show. That was
one show at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, and that I could almost, I could see a few guys helping him maybe, but him being the driving force behind each episode, and I don't know how long that series ran.
We're talking about like 7 different series in about a 6-year span
that
he kind of moved to television. And he's got other movies that he done after, but he kind of moved to television in 2018 with Yellowstone. So since then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that he's the main writer on. So in the past 6 years, 7 shows.
Every episode.
Again, he's the one writer's credit on the Wikipedia page. So I don't. But if he has assistants or writers' rooms,
well,
like
of course,
do those kind of writers, do those in-depth writers' rooms, do they all get
Yes,
credits
on
them?
other television. We did the Magnificent Seven, or when you do a Law and Order, every one of those shows is written by somebody else. I've never seen a show that is written, and Jim just mentioned one, but I've never seen a show. You take any episodic show that's out there or that has been out there for the last 20 years, and there's a different writer on. Now, they might have the same writer do 2 credits in one season, but
Yeah, exactly. It
you
would
know,
be, yeah.
the series that I did, the Magnificent Seven, different writer every show. The thing that I did in Canada, different writer every show. When I did Hawaii, different writer for every show. And I just, obviously he's not writing every episode.
Okay, well, I just went and I Googled, does Taylor Sheridan have writers that help him? And the answer that comes up is no. Taylor Sheridan primarily writes the episodes for his own shows himself, including Yellowstone. He has stated his creative control is tied to writing them alone, though he will sometimes collaborate with others, such as Terrence Winter on Tulsa King. Sheridan has a strong stance against traditional writers' rooms for his projects and has even rejected opportunities to hire more writers for his shows to maintain creative freedom.
Wow. That is
impressive.
That is more than impressive. That is
prodigious.
Unbelievable.
As in, I don't believe it.
Well, I mean, the reason why this conversation even started was because before Billy Bob's show got put on the air, Billy Bob was
pitching.
Thank you. He was pitching it to him, and his manager were pitching it. They were pitching that idea. Now, might not have been named that, but it was a story about oil, and they were pitching it. And Taylor Sheridan said, "Oh, I like that. Let's do that, and let's make a deal."
Well, that just goes back to the question: is like how much of that pitch was already written out? Like maybe you have one episode written out to pitch, or maybe you don't have anything written to pitch.
I think it was
right?
based on a magazine article. I think they were taking the magazine article around.
Right. I just, I traditionally have always thought that, that every episodic show that has 20 episodes per year has got a writer's room of 8 or 10 people, and each one takes a script. And usually, when I was working a lot in episodic television, the guy that wrote the episode that we were shooting would come out and visit the set. I mean,
okay.
we never went in. I never went into the writer's room or anything like that. That was always John Watson's whole thing. He had to go talk to them about me saying, well, this doesn't make sense, or hey, can they change this, or can they change that? But it was kind of a big deal. And the writers of that particular episode, the writer of that particular episode we were shooting would come out and watch his creation. Come alive, would be filmed.
So I don't know what the story was behind the producer you talked about that heard about Billy Bob pitching it, but the show Landman was actually based on a podcast from 2019 called Boomtown. Okay. So that's where it actually originated, and Taylor Sheridan acquired the rights to Boomtown and then co-created the show with Christian Wallace. So it seems like that show was created based on a podcast that Taylor Sheridan was able to get the rights to.
Oh, and you know what? For all I know, Billy Bob Thornton was pitching him something completely different, and I just know that he was pitching something, and maybe it was a completely different idea. And Taylor Sheridan said, "Gee, you'd be perfect for something that I've created or I've got the rights to. Would you be interested in doing something called Landman?" I know I hear you, and I hear your pitch and what you want to do. I mean, because Billy Bob's a pretty creative guy. He won an Academy Award for. Did
Sling Blade, wasn't it? Or
did he just win for writing or acting, or did he did he direct? He directed that too, right? Wrote, directed, and starred in Sling Blade.
Yeah.
Would he win an Academy Award for any of those three things for Sling Blade?
I don't think he ever won the Academy Awards, but he certainly got.
It was
Best Adapted Screenplay, nominated for Best Actor.
Okay, Best Adapted. So when you say, I always thought that came from. I thought he had that character.
Well, it's funny. Okay, it's based on, some folks call it a Sling Blade, which was by him. That was a short film that he made.
Yes.
So it was adapted by a short film that he made.
Okay, all right, wow.
That he wrote. So I don't.
So it's adapted by him from him.
Yeah,
That's an interesting Academy Award there.
But I will say that I remember you telling me to watch that movie when I was 11, 12, young. And I'm always so amazed when you watch an actor and you can't tell it's that actor.
No,
recent iterations would be like the Joker, Heath Ledger, the Penguin, Colin Farrell. Like, you watch them perform and you go, how is that person? But even in those cases, that requires a lot of makeup. Yeah. Billy Bob Thornton in Sling Blade, I watch him and go, how is that Billy Bob Thornton? He's so good. That performance that I watched when I was 11, I've always remembered it, and it's always fantastic. If it's ever on TV, I'll watch it, and I go like, that's Billy Bob Thornton? It's still hard for me to believe that that's actually him.
You want to know somebody else who didn't use any makeup and was fucking brilliant?
Yeah.
Look up a movie called Monster.
Oh, yeah. Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron, or Theron, however you pronounce her name, absolutely nailed. And Charlize is absolutely gorgeous. Stunningly beautiful, and this other woman was so maybe she put teeth in. I think maybe she did something with her teeth or something. But that was a stunning portrayal as far as I'm concerned. Did she win? She must have won the Academy Award for Best Actress that year. That was just incredible. And who directed that?
Patty Jenkins.
Patty Jenkins
wrote it too.
Patty Jenkins. Wow.
That's that movie about the woman serial killer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mornos. Yeah.
Yeah, boy, she was
fabulous
rough.
in that.
Well,
that was a really, that's the expression "rode hard and put up wet" would apply to that character, and she made herself look that way. And she, like we said, she's a stunningly attractive woman, but she looked that part. She transformed herself into that role.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of other people. Jamie Foxx when he played Ray Charles, maybe. That's a little different, I guess. When you're what's his name playing Abraham Lincoln? That's
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, that's a little bit different, I suppose. But anyway.
Yeah, it was just like, I was just looking up Daniel Day-Lewis movies to kind of try and compare what I'm saying. But, even when you watch Gangs of New York or, a lot of his movies, he's like, one of, if not the greatest actors of all time, but you can still see, like, I can still kind of tell that's Daniel Day-Lewis. I like a movie where I'm like, how is that person? Yeah. It's completely, they look completely different to me, and their character's completely different, or that always amazes me.
Well, would you say the same thing about Monster? You know Monster, right?
Yeah, I have seen that. Definitely say
Yeah. Can you think of any other movies?
I was trying to. It's very hard without that kind of prosthetic makeup, which I still, if you watch The Penguin with Colin Farrell, he's amazing in it, but that requires 4 or 5 hours of makeup.
I don't even see Colin Farrell.
No,
I don't.
No, you don't see it. You really don't see him in that.
Yeah.
But I can't think of any other real depictions off the top of my head. Just That
Can you
because Sling Blade was, I think, just
Well,
the first movie where I
was
watched it
thinking
and
of
went, how is that
the-
Billy Bob Thornton?
The original movie Sleuth with Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier has the two of them through the first half of the movie, and then Michael Caine gets killed, and then another character comes in, and that other character is Michael Caine, but you don't know it's Michael Caine, and as the audience is fooled for most of that second half of the movie until we realize that it's really Michael Caine and that he didn't get killed. But for the longest time in watching the second half of that movie, you're thinking this is a different actor, a different character entirely.
I do have a funny one. There is a funny example of this, which when I went to go see it in the theater, and a lot of other people,
it's funny.
it took you about halfway through the movie to realize
Steve Martin?
no, that Tom Cruise was in Tropic Thunder.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that's a good example.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. But he didn't have there was no prosthetic stuff on him.
I think they did a little bit, obviously a bald cap, and I think they made his
Yeah,
arms
yeah.
bigger or
Maybe a little
something too.
paunch or
But yeah,
something,
it wasn't a lot.
Yeah, no, they didn't have to make him up much.
Yeah. I saw something recently where he was being interviewed and he talked about that and them asking if he would be interested in doing something. And he said, yeah, only if I can do it like that.
Yeah.
Only if I can dance and, weigh 40 pounds heavier and be bald. That's those were his, like the demands from
Requirements. Yeah.
Yeah, if I didn't already know that, that was what's his name, Iron Man, and Robert Downey Jr. in that role, then that.
Right.
But obviously, he's got blackface on, and he's doing his thing.
Yeah. No, I would never. I probably wouldn't know that was him either. Somebody, I saw an interview, a TikTok thing or whatever, where somebody said, "Do you think you could make that movie today?" And he said, "Oh, you could make it." He's an immensely talented guy. He's kind of the first person really I ever saw that took one of those superheroes and turned them into something
watchable.
I mean, more so than
Spider-Man.
Well,
I mean, I think that was the only other really big comic book movie that came out before that. And,
Spider-Man with
Tobey Maguire.
With Tobey Maguire. Tobey was that worked. That worked very well. Something about is that Marvel? Was that Marvel?
Yeah, there's been rights disputes between Sony and Spider-Man, and but yes, it is Marvel.
Okay, well, for me, the very first time I was ever, and Spider-Man certainly is the, and listen, I'm fucking 70, so they're not making that movie for me. They're making it for my 10-year-old son for sure, and 10 through 30 or whatever. But the very first movie that I saw that was a big movie like that, that I really enjoyed, and I thought Robert Downey Jr. was able to kind of create a character beyond Iron Man, whoever Iron Man was, and whatever his features were that made him Iron Man. Yeah. He whether it's a subtle sense of humor or just the way that he delivers the lines, there's an intelligence, and there's a knowledge behind that, as compared to, everybody who played Batman or he
gave personality to Tony Stark. He played Tony Stark. He played an eccentric billionaire. That when he's Iron Man, he's in a fucking he's in a suit.
Right.
But Tony Stark was the kind of the character that he made. And
and I guess in Batman, I mean, we always had. Which is the one? Yeah, no, that's Superman. It's always so crazy that one of the craziest things about Superman is that Lois Lane never recognized him. That's all he did was take the glasses off. Lois Lane was like never like, well, Superman's head of this.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh man. All right. You got anything else, Jim? Do you?
Okay. Here's a question. I don't know. I might have asked you before on the podcast, but do you know anything about Jim Cameron wanting to do his own Spider-Man movie? And that I've heard people ask this in the comments on YouTube that like Jim Cameron at one point, maybe before Spider-Man came out, wanted to do a Spider-Man movie. Do you know the story behind that?
No, we could ask him. We could ask him when he comes on.
Didn't he write a treatment for one?
Well, I don't know exactly, except for there started to be rumors going around that he was writing something and that he wanted me to play Spider-Man. And somebody would ask me about it, or, somebody would say, "Hey, I've heard Jim Cameron." Yes, he was. He definitely was, but he wasn't thinking of me as Spider-Man. Spider-Man. By that time, I was 35. Spider-Man's
a teenager.
Teenager, yeah. So I never would have played but there was another character in that movie that Jim had created, I believe, that he thought that I might be able to do if he made that movie. Jim has been involved in a lot of things that eventually, didn't get made for one reason or another. I think that Jim kind of wants to do things his way. And, some people
especially if it's like, what do you call it? Like intellectual property, then you have
the
owners of that character that are going to interfere with
his vision.
Like, it's like what the Onslaught director was talking about when he's doing the Godzilla movies.
There are certain things.
Adam Wingard was like, I did the Godzilla movies. Now I want to do my movie because I don't want to, it was fun. I like doing it, but I want to have full creative control over my movie now.
Yeah, and there are certain things when you do those big movies that just, kind of have to
confines, certain confines that you have to operate in.
Yeah.
Within.
It'll be interesting. I know the sequences. Fede
Alvarez?
Yeah. He told me that Adam was in, where was it? Like somewhere in South America, some place like in South America, one of those countries down there, shooting something. And I know
it was probably Brazil if you're talking about.
No, it wasn't Brazil. Or like I want to say like Uruguay or like some bizarre fucking place. And I know what he was shooting. So it'll be interesting to see. I guess I'll probably know. Well, anyway, I'm going to try to get him in, and I'd love for him to come on the pod. Very attractive guy. Very. I'd love to hear his kind of like. Not rags to riches per se, but how he became a filmmaker that was so good coming from, and again, he came from a country, it's like,
not really known for its filmmaking traditions.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You don't hear about Uruguay.
Can you look him up and see where he's from?
Yeah, he was born in Montevideo, Uruguay.
Uruguay. Okay. Like, how many other filmmakers do you know that are from Uruguay? I mean, there's a lot from Europe, and not that many South American directors. So yeah, I would love to have him on. I'd love to hear his experiences, and working with Ridley Scott. And, Jim did such a brilliant job with Aliens. The one thing that Jim did have going for him, I will say though, is that, he already had a sandbox with some toys in him. He already, he didn't have to create the
From
alien.
scratch.
He didn't have to create a lot of that. He ended up creating other parts and other bits and pieces of it, but he did have a little bit of a blueprint on.
And a big shout out to Stan Winston, who's had his hand in all of creating all that stuff as well, I'd imagine.
Yeah, but I guess the point that I was trying to make was that, when Ridley Scott, that's an interesting story because Alien, if you go back and look at the original Alien, the two guys that wrote it, they were like trying to sell it to Roger Corman, weren't they, Jim?
Yeah. They had been Roger Corman.
What was those guys' names?
Shusett and O'Bannon.
Right.
Yeah, Dan O'Bannon and Ron Shusett.
Yeah, and they were trying to sell it to Roger. I watched a documentary on Roger Corman 2 or 3 nights ago. It was
really?
like a 1 hour documentary that. Yeah, it was, pretty interesting. He did one thing. Where was that he went overseas? It's the one movie he really wanted to do something that was serious, and he decided he was going to make it had to do with the racial tensions back in the early '60s.
Okay.
And he decided to go to Alabama I think it was actually in Mississippi, and went down there to shoot the Ku Klux Klan and that whole thing. And that, when he talks about that, they barely got out of there alive.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know if you're familiar with that movie, but he says, and it. When you watch the documentary, you see bits and pieces of it, and it's a definite look what we're doing to the black people in the South here, that vibe to it, and what do they call that cross that they burn? Maybe there's no name for it.
Well, no, just a burning cross.
Yeah.
Cross burnings is what they call it.
Yeah, and but he made a movie about that era that was very, I don't know if you call it anti, anti.
It's called The Intruder. Stars William Shatner.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
William Shatner's in that?
Yeah. It's called
what
The
year was it,
Intruder.
Jim? What year?
62.
62. There you go. Right. Yeah. He talks about just barely making it out of Mississippi or wherever he was shooting it. That's just an interesting guy. And they showed some shots of some of his movies, early movies, and we know that Jack Nicholson was in 1 or 2, but God, there was
a couple of them. Yeah,
there was a shot of Jack Nicholson. He was reading a book, and he looked like he was about 18.
A teenager, definitely.
He looked like a teenager. Now, one that he is much more well known for is a Roger Corman movie where he plays. Is it a masochist or what is a person who likes pain? Masochist. Correct.
Likes it. Yeah.
A
sadist likes giving.
Yeah, he goes into a dentist chair.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that, Jim?
Yeah. They remade it.
Yeah. Well,
it's Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, it's Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, of course.
The original. Yeah,
of course.
Yes.
He created it was Roger Corman who created A Little Shop of Horrors, correct?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they did the Broadway show. Then they did the film, or
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
And it was Nicholson who goes to the dentist.
yeah.
And he doesn't want
in the movie.
Novocaine.
I know
Yeah.
they showed parts of it. It was just very, 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 very good. You got anything else, bro?
Well, just before we wrap, I was just looking up Aliens again, and the original artist that inspired Ridley Scott to approach him to design creatures from the films was a guy named H.R. Geiger.
Geiger,
Yeah.
I mean, Geiger's artwork is when you say a guy named Geiger, that's
Already
like
associated
saying
with the creating of. But yeah, I mean that you were in terms of like the toys that Cameron had, it was just kind of the lineage of Geiger,
Yes.
Ridley Scott, Aliens, James
Yes,
Cameron,
exactly.
Stan
Yeah, it was
Winston.
Geiger who was the the kind of the visionary of the first movie.
He's not
His design.
He's not still alive, is he, Jim?
I don't believe he is.
I would
no.
think that his artwork I've always found really
No, he's
fascinating.
Arrested.
died in
Yeah.
2014.
2014, yeah, boy, he's got some really, really interesting art, and I think that we should wrap this up, unless Jim, you have anything that you're just dying to talk about?
No, I'm interested in this movie called The Intruder because social themes were something that Roger Corman scrupulously avoided.
Right.
For the most part.
Like
So
Johnny
that was
Carson. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he made that movie in 1962. So I can see why he never went back and approached the subject again, and mainly stuck with making basically exploitation movies, cheap exploitation movies.
Yeah. They don't interview Scorsese, who I know he did Boxcar Bertha, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But
and Coppola did Dementia 13.
Ron Howard is interviewed, and Ron Howard talks about his relationship, and didn't he do Eat My Dust?
I think he did Eat My Dust.
Yeah. And there are probably
Jonathan Demme. I did.
Really?
Did a couple. Yeah, did a couple of Roger Corman movies. Got to start with Roger Corman.
Clarice. That's Jonathan Demme, right?
Yeah. Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Jonathan
Demme have a brother who had died?
Ted Demme. He did a movie called Blow with
Johnny Depp?
With Johnny Depp about the drug dealer George Young.
Did he?
Pretty good movie. And then he died. Yeah.
Did he die of natural causes, or did he overdose, or did he do? Was it suicide? Demme's brother.
No, it was. I think it was natural causes. I think he died of like a heart attack or something.
Wow, young age, man.
Yeah.
That one was called.
Yeah, he died of a heart attack playing a basketball game.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember hearing that. That movie's called Blow.
Yeah.
Blow. Yeah.
You've never seen it? Pee Wee Herman is in it. Paul Rubens is in it.
Well, yeah. Wow.
How many other? You can't think of that many other movies he was in, but he does have a pretty good part in that movie.
Yeah. He's
Penelope Cruz
no
is
longer
in it
with
too,
us
I believe.
now either. What?
Yeah. I think Penelope Cruz is in the movie too.
Wow.
It's got a decent cast.
Yeah.
Ray Liotta plays Johnny Depp's father.
Wow.
You've never seen it?
No.
No, it's a good movie. It's basically a true story.
Yeah, no, I hadn't. I mean, I'm aware of it now that we're talking about it, and of course now that Johnny Depp, and yet now I'm totally aware that it had come out, but I don't think I ever saw it. I don't remember ever seeing it. So I guess we'll have to pick up this conversation, Jim, next podcast. And by the way, I wanted to have on an actor named Malcolm Danare, and Malcolm was in Lords of Discipline with me, just a kid. The story of how he got started is just cool. Crazy. And then he went on after that to do a Stephen King a piece called Christine.
Oh, yeah.
And then he went on, and he's had a pretty successful career. How he got started has to do with Frank Rodham and Lords of Discipline. And
Cool.
so I was going to have him on, but I just didn't have a chance to listen
Do your
to
homework.
to do my homework on him. And again, I promise that I'm going to get Judge Reinhold on here soon,
That'll be fun.
and also
I just watched a little bit of Beverly Hills Cop again over the weekend.
yeah, and I mean, yeah. Who else can you talk to about Fast Times at Ridgemont High? You know?
Forrest Whitaker was in that movie.
Yeah, he was. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Freddie Rodriguez has said he would come in too, and so
Alvarez.
we'll
Oh, yeah, Freddie Rodriguez. Sure.
Freddie Rodriguez. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
So subscribe. What else?
Like,
I'm getting
subscribe.
there. Like, subscribe,
Comment.
talk about us, tell your friends about us. Share. On one of these days, I'll get around to talking about my meeting with Cher. I said that last week, but
There we go.
Anyway,
That'll lead off the next one.
yeah, it's not really that big of a deal. It was not that big of a thing. I happened to be with Chris Murphy when she picked me up.
Now we'll get Chris back on the show and tell the story.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Jim. Thank you very much.
You got it. You got it.
Love you, Kaylin.
Love you.
And we'll see you all next week.
Next time.
You. Thank you for watching, and spread the word.
Dirtier than you are doing music.